Hey guys, Bloody Jacob here to bring you another horror movie review, and this time we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood.
I'm Sylvia Saska.
And I'm Jen Saska.
And we're the Saska sisters. Get a part of this.
Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
Spread the little butt down there. It's Blood E with 2 E's.
Bloody Jacob, for sexy, awesome, exclusive content. And actually a for real friend of the Saskas.
Yeah, we love him. Support his stuff.
Please support your local artists. Please.
Yeah.
That's right, Part 7, The New Blood. I have the deluxe edition DVD here, which I've had for quite some time. Once again, I really got to upgrade my Nightmare and Friday the 13th collections, especially. I'm just going to save up for one of those Blu-ray sets they've released at some point. But I do own all of them. I just got to upgrade the format and everything. Still, kind of a cool cover. But yeah, Friday the 13th, Part 7. Released in 1988. It was directed by John Carl Buescher, and stars Terry Kaiser, Jennifer Banco, John Atran, along with Lar Park Lincoln, Kevin Sparatus, Susan Jennifer Sullivan, and obviously the debut of Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees, who went on to play him in Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, 9, Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason X. Regarded by many as the best to ever, put on the hockey mask. And once again, wearing my Friday the 13th hat, by the way, if you didn't notice. I plan on doing that on every Jason video I do now, ever since my Part 2 video anyway, which is just like a day or two ago, but it's something I do now, because this is a really, really sick looking hat that I picked up at Days of the Dead. But anyway, this is kind of an important movie to talk about because it's Kane Hodder's debut. I remember at one point I seen it had a pretty positive reputation among people, and then over the years I've seen it become kind of more mixed, a little bit more sort of lukewarm. I do still think this is probably one of the better Friday the 13th films, at least of the the later sequels. I do think Jason Lives Part 6 is better than this, but I have to rewatch Jason Takes Manhattan again, but I would watch this one again before Jason Goes to Hell. Sorry, Facebook notification. But I do think it's significantly less quality than like Part 4, Part 3, and Part 2, which were just different at the time. This is also Zombie Jason. The second time around with that. And I just watched it again with the fiance last night. Again, at some point, once I get through reviewing all these individually, I will do a video ranking them, like I still plan to do with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. It's just, kind of tough to juggle a job and all these videos I want to do during the week. But yeah, how do I feel about it now? I remember at one point it was probably my 2 or 3 favorites of the entire franchise. But now I'm not so sure. It's sort of in the middle for me now. After rewatching some of them, And a big part of that is what, unfortunately, the MPAA did to this movie in terms of just how much they cut the shit out of it, and really ruins what would have been some really memorable, brutal kills in the series. Had they, you can look it up yourself, but had they left those kills in, I think that probably would have saved the movie, and probably kept it within like the top 2, 3, or 4 of the franchise. But as it stands, it sucks because it was out of their control. They filmed some kind of decently wicked brutal kills, but didn't get to show them. As a result, almost every single kill in this movie is basically cut, or it's done off screen, or you see like a second of it, and that's it. You don't get to see the whole thing. I'm not really exaggerating at all. Even my girlfriend is getting irritated, or my fiance is getting irritated about it, and she hadn't even seen it before. Did they have to butcher every single kill in the movie? I don't know. I understand cutting 1 or 2, or maybe like the most brutal one, which would still be annoying, but they cut every single kill in this movie, no matter how simple it was supposed to be, or or over the top. But I don't know. It's a slasher movie about a hulking, supernatural zombie, serial killer. I just don't get it. But nonetheless, it does sort of leave the movie being a bit tedious, because again, over and over you see these kills set up and built up, only just to be cut like, or something of that nature. So it really makes it a bit repetitive when you watch it, and you see that happening, time and time again. And the Friday the 13th series is still probably my favorite. It's toss up between that and Nightmare on Elm Street. Jason Voorhees is still my favorite slasher, probably my favorite horror character of all time. So I am still a bit lenient on it. I do think Kane Hodder has a presence as the character that a lot of the other actors didn't. Some of his movements are a bit more simple. Like I debate in my head now if he's my personal favorite or not. But what he brought to it and his commitment to it should not be questioned, including his, big fire stunt in this movie, which is actually, walking around actually on fire, for a certain period of time. But he does bring an intensity to it, like a sort of command to his presence, really. Or something as simple as when he's following, Tina's her name, right? Sorry about that. Yeah, Tina. When he's walking up the stairs towards her, towards the end of the movie. There's just something about his stare that's a little bit more sort of okay. So he does bring like a certain sense of physicality and command authority, to his role of Jason, and also just how Jason looks in general. It's really, really sick, man. By some people's accounts, the very best look Jason's ever had in the movies. And I really like it a lot. The spine on his back as well, just how, decrepit, a lot of them is, still decaying and such. And also when he's unmasked, it looks really, really incredible. I absolutely love how it looks. So detailed, looks really realistic. Menacing, dangerous, not sort of dopey or, droopy-eyed or something like that, which was fine for the earlier films before he was actually a zombie, but he actually looks threatening. So you still gotta give that to him. And then in terms of Tina herself, this movie was basically set up as like a, Jason versus Carrie idea when they couldn't do Freddy versus Jason at the time. And I think Lara Park Lincoln generally does a good job in the film. She emotes a little bit more than a lot of the other final girls in the series, I will say. But sometimes she doesn't quite hit the mark when she really goes for it. And some of that's due to the dialogue, some of it's due to her delivery. It's kind of a half and half thing when it comes to that sort of thing. But I thought she was fine to pretty good. I wouldn't say she's my favorite final girl in the series, though. I'd still say that could be like Amy Steele, Ginny in Part 2, or someone else I haven't really watched in a while. But I think she's fine. She's serviceable in the film at the very least. And again, it just sucks because the guy you want to die the most in the entire movie, he's about to have this awesome death, and you see like a split second of it, and it's just disappointing as fuck. Anyway, excuse the language. This movie also does feature probably one of the biggest bitches, again, excuse the language, of the entire series, and that's Melissa. That's why I named the actress's name in my little intro there. Melissa, played by Susan Jennifer Sullivan. And just how she's trying to get with Kevin Spradis' character, and driving wedges where she doesn't need to. How she's manipulating some of the lesser-minded hormonal boys in the film, and different things like that. She plays it pretty well, though. I gotta give it to the actress in this one. And yeah, basically that image of Jason right there is right before he kills her. It's a little bit more close up though. That's also the image I had Kane Hodder sign when I met him a couple of years ago at Comic-Con Grand Rapids. Again, it was one that was probably cut and everything like that, but axe to the head, throwing her across the room into the TV, it was pretty cool. It was still fairly satisfying. Yeah, then the actor who plays the Doctor. Let's see, Dr. Cruz, Terry Kaiser. I think he is pretty good in his role as well. Although you find out he's just a jackass trying to exploit whatever telekinetic power is going through Tina, and trying to get her to get riled up, just to get things off of that and such. And again, he would have had the best death in the movie, but they got it anyway. And the Jason versus Carrie, sort of thing. It's not, taken to a huge extent, but it does make the climax and the final sequences a little bit more dynamic than usual. She gets to fight back against Jason a little, that kind of thing. Bring the house down on him, lighting on fire, like I mentioned. So it makes it a little bit more unique in that regard. But what really was just versus just. I don't know, it feels like a ploy, really, which it was, but, it does kind of distinguish itself from the other films because of that. Most of the other times, the final girls will either get lucky or, have to be just, practically resourceful or something, which she still has to, but it's different when she actually gets to use her, telekinetic abilities, of course, but, another issue I have with this movie is the ending. I don't know if I want to spoil it for you, but most of you have probably seen it by now. When she raises her father, whose body apparently wasn't collected or something, or I've also read it as the spirit of her father is summoned. I don't know. He looks perfectly fine. He's not decrepit or anything like that. And he puts a chain around Jason and drags him back into the water with him. And I get the notion of that with the Tina character, but it just felt like a weird sort of cop-out, kind of cheat code ending, to get rid of arguably one of the strongest versions of Jason in this movie. So it felt a little bit lame, it felt a little bit tacked down, a little anticlimactic for, how presented Kane Hodder's Jason was in this movie. Yeah, Kevin Spradis I thought was fairly likable. He's also in Subspecies 2 and 3, which is an old cult horror series I am a little fond of. So it's good to see him again here. Even though I had seen this years ago, but since I've seen the Subspecies movies, and I'm like, oh. But yeah, this movie is still a really mixed bag when it comes down to it, because if those kills had remained intact, this probably would have been one of the best of the franchise. It's still one of the better ones, but it just ends up being in the middle, and it feels a little bit dragged out because of the repetitiveness of those cut kills. Doesn't really live up to just what an awesome Jason, look-wise, and Kane Hodder's debut. It doesn't really live up to any of that, unfortunately, because of that. It's not their fault, it's on the MPAA, but it's still the film they're given. So yeah, if I had to rate Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, it's tough. But, depending on my mood, I'd probably have to give it between a 79, 82% or something like that. Maybe 84% if I'm really focusing on the qualities I really like about the film. But to be honest, it's probably about 80, 83, somewhere in there. So yeah, let me guys slot about Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. How pissed does the MPAA make you? Let me know. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.